Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beyond Barriers podcast, and shout out today to Access to Business for providing the space for us to record this. I'm not going to introduce this next person, I'm going to leave it up to her, so here we go.
Hello, I am Susan Vickers of the Susan Vickers Foundation. I am also chair of Wolverhampton City Radio, which is the only radio station in Wolverhampton.
The only radio station left. There used to be a few, didn't there?
There used to be, yeah, back in the day.
How have you guys managed to stay standing?
Because I'm with them.
yeah, that's good. That's all we need to know then. And tell us a bit about your story, Susan. Where are you from? What have you done?
I was born in 1970 in West Brom, actually, but my biological mother was blonde hair, blue-eyed, as English-looking as you can get, from Bilston. My biological father was full Indian. And it sounds very romantic, Nathan, and it probably was at the time.
Yeah.
But they met, fell in love, won off, got married, didn't tell anybody, came back, and her family, she'd already got her son off an Irish guy. Her family was like, no, what have you done now? But they kind of understood she was a bit of a wild child, for want of a better way.
Your mum was a rogue.
She was a bit of a rogue. She was a free spirit. But his family, they were Sikh. The family home was the temple in Bilston. They were like, no, we've got somebody lined up for you.
Yeah.
And long story short, I was told he took me to social services and left me there at 3 months old. So,
wow. So what about your mum?
And this is the thing, it's not as clean cut as that. You can't just do that.
No, you can't.
You both parents have to sign it up, but that was the narrative that they were leading with. So I was then fostered to a all-white family on an all-white estate in Ashford Park. They had a biological child of their own. They'd been fostering for 8 years. So this is 1970, like I say, straight after the swinging 60s. So there was a lot of mixed race kids in care.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to look after them. My mum was like, I don't care what colour they are. I love kids. Bring them all to me. She looked after Jamaican, African, Asian, every kind of race you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Everything was fine until they said, actually, thinking about adopting that one, me.
Mm-hmm.
And so her sister and other members of the family were like, yeah, no, that's not going to fly. Anyway, 18 months old, they adopted me. It did say very clearly in the records, I've come to find out, that the social workers were saying there will be a problem with racism, but they still let me be adopted by them.
Yeah.
So adopted at 18 months, and back then there was no support. There's some support now if you're adopted or fostered. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything back then.
Was Susan the name on your birth certificate?
Susan was my birth name, yeah.
Okay.
Susan Paula. Obviously my surname changed to their name. A whole world of pain ensued with the race. We had graffiti outside the house. My sister was being beaten up at school.
And you was only a baby?
Yeah, being called a pea lover.
Really?
This was the time, and a little bit like what's happening now, but on a much bigger scale.
70s, 80s would not have been good for
the
this.
National Front was everywhere, wasn't it? There was NF signs everywhere. So it was awful. I was the only person that looked like this on the estate. There were 2 Jamaican families, and that was it. So my mum and family didn't know how to deal with that. They didn't have any support. All I knew was I was being called the P word. I didn't understand what it meant when I got to school. I was coming home thinking I was dirty. I was getting nail bushes, trying to scrub it off.
Man.
My parents didn't know how to support me. All they knew to say was, but you're not a P word. P word is short for Pakistani.
Yeah.
You're not. Your father was Indian. So that's all I knew to say was, but I'm not a P word. Nobody understood what that mean. Back then, Nathan, people only knew 3 things. If you were black, you were black. If you were white, you were white. If you had this colour skin, you were a P word. Whether you was Spanish, Italian, Indian, Pakistani, you was called that. I learned very early on that looking like this was a negative thing. People hated it, and it was awful. Nobody would be friends with me. I remember going to call for a friend when I was about 10, 11, Tracy Griffiths. Knocked on the door. Her mum answered. I could see Tracy upstairs in the bedroom. Like, was Tracy coming out? No, she's not in, slams the door. I go walking up the
Wow,
path.
and that was a parent who was treating you like that?
And I could see Tracy upstairs, and the parents wouldn't let me play with the kids, whether they thought it was catching or they'd be tarred with, because I was being bullied all the time, whether they would be, it was just awful. This carried on into my adult life. Like I say, I learned very early on to distance myself from my heritage. So I started saying that I was Sicilian, because nobody really knew what Sicilians looked like, but they knew the mafia come from there.
I was just going to say mafia. Yeah.
So, the Godfather films and so on. I started taking, this is like a confession. I started taking Italian lessons just to be more authentic, and this tallied over into my working life and so on. So up until 4 years ago, I lived my life as a Sicilian person. I'm very conscious of how I wear my hair, my makeup, clothes I wear, all kinds of things. I wouldn't stand next to an Asian person in a queue because people would think I was part of that. It was a lot. It affected my whole life on a daily basis.
What is that like for your mental health?
You don't think about that because you think about survival.
Wow.
You don't think about you. But
it's really sad.
You don't think about your mental health at the time. You do whatever it is to get you to survive and be accepted in a world that's...
Go crack on, eh, mate?
Yeah. So when my mum, because they didn't have support as I was growing up, become really abusive. Insofar as she would hold me under the bathwater to try and wash my colour away. She'd make me stand outside in the snow to try and bleach my skin when I was 6. There was a lot of things that she used to do.
This was your adopted mum?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And you don't realise at the time until you look back, you go, hang on, that was abuse. You don't know any different. But she became abusive. And she didn't have the support. So in hindsight now, I understand it. Doesn't make it right.
Did she become abusive because she was getting it from other places as well?
Yeah, and she was frustrated because she wasn't getting any support and she was having to deal with all this stuff that was going on.
The bullied starts bullying, don't they?
Yeah.
It's really sad.
So when I got to 16, 17, my mum and dad were like, look, we've done our job now. You can go and find your real parents. Why do I want to go and find my real parents who gave me away as a child? I hate them. You don't do that, But I got to the stage, our relationship was so fractured. I felt I needed something. I don't know what it was. If you were born before 1976, you had to go through counselling to get your original birth documents. So I did all of that. Turns out that the person that was counselling me, the social worker, Mary Woods, was my social worker that dealt with my adoption 21 years before. It was bonkers. Did all that, got to, all the records were kept in Stafford at that time, went there, got my original birth certificate, and I prayed and hoped that there'd been some kind of mistake and that I wasn't really the heritage that I was. And I opened up that document and it was just clear, and I'll never forget how I felt that day. Because clear in black and white was Jaswant Singh Kanth, my biological father's name, an Indian. And how I didn't jump off that motorway bridge, I've got no idea. On the plus side...
I have.
Yeah.
Resilience, mate.
Yeah. On the plus side, my biological mother was still at the address that was on my birth certificate. So I got in my Capri at the time.
Wow, cool, man. Ford Capri.
I loved my Capri, 1.6 gear. I just loved it. And I sat outside a house for a week in Bilston. Obviously, my biological father was now in an arranged marriage, living in London, got his own family.
Oh, so she
kids.
got left too?
She was still in Bilston. So I sat outside a house for a week, backwards and forwards. Didn't want to meet her because I hated her. She gave me away. What mother gives her child away? And I thought, if I meet her, I'm going to punch her in the face and I'm going to this and this.
Yeah.
But I was curious.
That's not really you though, is it?
No. But
Just
I
angry
was
at the time.
angry, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was curious because I can't imagine myself having a mother with blonde hair and blue eyes, and you're looking at me. You wouldn't think my mother was like that. So she lived on the end of a cul-de-sac. I was going around the back of the cul-de-sac, looking in her back garden, see if her washing was clean, all those kind of things to get a sense of who she was.
Yeah.
Never got to meet her. Never saw her that week. But I knew she'd gone on to have other kids. She had another daughter after me, which she also gave up for adoption. But Dawn went to a big posh family in Womburn, saturated with love. I went to a council estate in Ashford Park and ended up being abused. She then had she had a son off a Jamaican guy, kept him. Then she had another son off another Irish guy and kept him. So I remember the Sunday night, I'd gone back home after not seeing her again, and there was a knock on my door, 10:30. I'd just got out of the shower, hair wringing wet. Didn't answer because I thought he was knocking on my door, 10:30 on a Sunday night. And it was a social worker. She said, if it's you sitting outside Pamela's house, let her know because somebody had been trying to abduct kids from the school at the end of that street. I panicked thinking, no, I'm not trying to abduct kids. So I went bombing down there, knocked on her door, and by the time she got the door open, she had one child here, another child behind, and another child that way. And I just said, Pamela. She said, yes. I said, do you know who I am? She says, I do, but I don't know which one you are. I'm like,
oh my God.
So, do you want to come in? I said, yes. And all that angst and that anger that I had, Nathan, kind of disappeared because I'm now looking at somebody who's got the same bone structure as me and the same setup that looks like me, but obviously, and I'd never seen that before. And she's like, how was your child? I'm like, oh, it was fine.
You didn't say about the bad stuff, no, of course.
But I said, so why did you give me away? And she said, it wasn't me, it was your father. I loved him, and he told me he was taking you to see his parents, and he took you up social services and left you there. I thought, we can't just do that. But I kind of understood, because we've all been in relationships, haven't we? Especially your first love, where you just adored them, and if they'd have said, go and jump off a cliff, you'd have gone, all right, then how fast do you want to run? And,
yeah, of course.
And I get it. She had his name tattooed on her arm, she adored him. So I kind of got past that, and she blamed everything on him. I already hated him. I don't think I ever hated anybody as much as what I did my biological father, because of how he looked. Meant I looked like this, which meant I had a world of pain.
Do you feel like, don't you agree that one of the hardest things to do is forgive?
I struggle to forgive.
Yeah, but you seem like you don't really hold grudges.
Oh, I do, Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I'm getting better at it.
It helps.
Does
helps.
It?
Yeah, because you know what you've also got to do is remember that it wasn't your fault.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But a lot of things, everything was their fault.
Yeah.
And it could have been prevented.
Yeah.
Like I say, I hated him. And I just wanted to tell him that or something, I don't know. Took a lot for me to find him because we didn't have the internet back then. So I had to sit up the library and go through all the electoral rolls. It was long. Changed his name that many times, so shady. But I found him in the end. He was living in London, got his own family. He came up, met me, sat in the back of his car, driving around the streets. I'm like, can we go to a cafe or something so we can talk? He's like, what do you want? What do you mean? What do I want? I'm your firstborn. Have you never even thought about me? I think about my first boyfriend sometimes. You never even thought about me. He's like, no, I don't know why you've come looking for me. I gave you up for somebody else to look after you, nothing to do with me now.
Wow, sounds like a nice guy.
Oh my God. I said, does your wife know about me? He says, me and my wife have got no secrets. So I went, okay, when did you tell him? He went, yesterday. So, didn't want to know, basically.
Yeah.
I found my biological sister, which was just wonderful. Again, that was like she'd gone to Womburn to a big posh family, like I say. They couldn't have kids at all, so they adopted her and two boys. All I knew is her name was Dawn Michelle something. Didn't know what her surname was. And there were 302 in Womburn, Dawns or Dawn Michelle something. I knocked on every single door And she was the very last door that I knocked on.
Really? Out of all 300 or something?
Rain,
oh, my God.
And if nobody was in, I'd knock next door and say, so a girl that lives next door looks like me.
Yeah.
So a lot of them were very easy. Dawn was the last one. Knocked on the door and I said, look, I'm probably got the wrong house, but I'm a doctor, I'm looking for a biological sister, and all I know is the name's Dawn. She went, no, you've got the wrong house. Went back to my car and she comes knocking on the window. She says, I'm sorry, you have. And she'd only found out she was adopted a couple of weeks before because her parents didn't tell her. She went looking for a birth certificate and she found adoption papers. So we met and it was like looking at a twin. Her childhood pictures were exactly alike. Her parents didn't want us to be friends or in contact. So I think she thought that I was going to run away with her, and that wasn't the case at all. So we were together for like 4 years. We was going out all the time, and it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But she had a completely different upbringing to what I did because she was just saturated with love. Dawn was a lot pale. Dawn looked white, but she had jet black hair, whereas I was darker, but my hair is dark, but very dark brown. So I had a completely different upbringing. But I did, at that point, I moved around the corner from my biological mother and I was with her every day because I felt I needed some kind of mother figure, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was with her every day. Everything was all right. She'd be introducing me to people. Oh, this is my daughter, which I'd never had before. Whenever my mum used to introduce me, it was like, this is my adopted daughter. So I was always being made to feel different. And then I think she felt she'd got a long-lost daughter back. I think she felt she'd made a mistake by giving me up, and I come knocking on the door and she got me back. And because people see long-lost family, don't they, and they think, they all got reunited and skipped off into the sunset. And then I met my biological nephew, and he said, I spent some time in care as well. And I thought, there's a pattern here. And I said to him, I'll never call Pamela Mum. My mum, despite everything, was the one that brought me up, because that's what mothers are. They're the ones that brought me up and was there when I was poorly and so on. Pamela will always just be Pamela. He went and told her. She lost her mind. She had my house robbed, my car stolen, she had me stabbed. She completely tried to ruin my life.
You got stabbed?
By my cousin.
Was that a male as well?
Yeah. The police got involved, and anyway, I ended up leaving. Never saw her again. I think she thought she got a long lost daughter back. When she realised she hadn't, she lost her mind.
As long as you told the line again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I never saw her again after that, and so I carried on my life, still living as a Sicilian, into my working life again, still having to pretend that I wasn't who I was to be accepted. When people were telling jokes and it was racism jokes, and they'd be like, oh, no offence, thinking that we're not going to take offence because somebody said something.
When someone
racist.
Says no offence, it's going to be offensive,
then go
isn't
on
it?
to be offensive.
Yeah. It's like saying mind your head after you've already hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had so many problems with racism. I had a friend, and we were really good friends. We worked together and we was together a lot, and we'd go out drinking after work, and we were friends for like 5 years. Never met her mum. She lived in Coventry. And then I remember being at a house one day, and Hayley, her name was, her mum came back and never met her mum. She says, oh, Mum, this is Susan, blah, 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 blah. This is my mum. And Mum was like, hello. Dragged Hayley into the kitchen. I said, I'm just going to the loo. I went upstairs to the loo. Kitchen door, the bathroom door was open. Hayley was in the garden with her mum, and I heard her mum saying, get that P word out of my house. You never told me she was a P word. And Hayley was like, Mum, that's my friend. And she's like, I don't care. To this day, Hayley never has known that I heard that, because she'd be devastated. But these were the kind of things that was happening. Fast forward, if you like, to 4 years ago. 5 years ago, I was living in New York. I was in New York for 8 years.
No way, man.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And my...
what a dramatic difference for the girl from Ashmore Park.
Yeah. Well, I had a record label and stuff. And
whoa.
Yeah. There's a lot. So my mom ended up becoming really poorly. She ended up being bedbound and paralysed from the waist down. Her biological daughter didn't really care, who lived around the corner from her. So I had to come back from New York.
The one who was left out in the snow, held underneath the bathwater, had to care for the person who, in quotation marks, cared for you then?
Yeah, my perpetrator.
Yeah.
But she said to me, look, I rescued you as a child. It's for you to look after me now. And I'm like, well, I'm
Still
not
the
sure
mental and emotional abuse continue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was right. She made me feel grateful, and I was grateful, Nathan.
You would be as a kid, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because I could have gone to a much worse family, but similarly, I could have gone to a much better family. So I came back from New York, ended up moving in with her, being a full-time carer. And it was horrendous, one of the most horrendous times of my life because of how abusive she was. I ended up back in therapy. It was awful. And then I'd lost my dad 15 years before from smoking. So all I had was my mum. And then my mum passed. And when you lose both your parents, you immediately feel like an orphan, no matter how old you are. And I kind of spiraled a little bit, and I felt, I don't know why, I feel like I need something, some kind of foundation. I'll reach out to my biological mother. It's now 30 years on since all that happened.
Since you got stabbed?
Yeah. I don't want to have a relationship with her, but I just felt like I needed some kind of foundation. So I'd kind of kept in touch with my biological brother on and off over the years, and I reached out to him and said, do you think Pamela would want to see me? So I thought, do you want to see her for me? And I don't know, but my mum's just died and I feel I need something. He said, all right, I'll ask her. And then it was the night before my mum's funeral. I'm sitting at my kitchen table writing my mum's eulogy, and my phone rings, and it was my brother to say that my biological mother had passed that night.
Oh.
So within that week, I lost both my mothers, and I completely lost it. And I don't know why, because we hadn't had a relationship, and my mum was, and I felt the best way I can describe it is as I'm falling out of a plane backwards and you're flailing. I just completely lost it. So I thought, right, got my mum's funeral done. Next day I went over to my brother's. He gave me Pamela's handbag, and in there had been all the newspaper clippings from over the past 30 years of every time I'd been in the paper, every story about me, every photograph, everything.
So she was keeping an eye on you even after she did all that stuff?
Yeah. So that told me she must have felt something.
Yeah.
To do that, and probably her stubbornness wouldn't let her reach out, I don't know. But I thought she must have had love. So I thought, okay, well, I wonder if Tony... Or guilt.
Yeah.
But I thought, I wonder if Tony now feels like that, because he'll be in his 70s now, he'll be in the last quarter of his life. Maybe now he's thinking, oh, I wonder how she's getting on. So I'll try and find him. Now we've got the internet, it was even more difficult to find him, but I found him in the end. And lived in London. Said to my partner, right, I found Tony. He says, right, write him a letter. When I'm not writing him a letter for him not to reply. I'm not going to phone him for him to put the phone down.
Knock on the door.
I'm prepared this time.
Yeah.
For him to say, what do you want? Yeah. I wasn't prepared that first time.
Yeah.
But he's going to do it to my face. So drive down there. He lived at the end of a cul-de-sac. So Adrian had to walk up, come back, and he said it's the right house because the cars on the drive, they had private veg plates, which was the surname, so I knew I'd got the right place. And went up, knocked on the door. Now, a lot of people that came over in the early days, because they all had foreign names, they'd have an English name as well. So my father's name was Jaswant Singh, but his English name was Tony. So I knocked on the door and I said, the young girl answered, and I thought that must be his granddaughter. I said, is Tony in? She went, Tony? And I'm like, Jaswant. And she went, oh, my dad. She calls the mother and she says, what's your name? Well, Susan was my birth name. There's not many Susans around anymore. Yeah. So I didn't want to give anything away because I didn't want to cause any trouble. And I says, Louise? I don't know why I said that. And she says, oh, he's not here. What do you want? And I says, I just want to say hello. And that's it. No, he's not here. I don't know what time he'll be back. I said, right, I'll come back later. Went, and I sat in the car and I thought, I should have gone in because I could have seen a picture of him or what he looks like now or get a sense of who he is. And this isn't like me. But I went back and knocked on the door and I went, oh, Bill, come in.
Yeah.
Who does that? But she was all right, then coming in. She says, can I get you a tea? Would you like an Indian tea? And like I say, I've never had a curry in my life. I don't eat spices whatsoever because of what it means. And I thought, I don't want to give a game away. So I went, okay, I'll have an Indian tea. And I said to this girl, can I just have a couple of minutes with your mum on my arm? She went, yeah, of course you can. And I thought, well, if that was me, I'd be like, well, who are you? I don't know who you are. Yeah. But she went. And I said to the mother, do you know who I am?
She said, yeah.
Yes, I know who you are. What do you want? I went, no. Do you know who I am? She went, yes. Why are you here? I'm like, I'm Tony's first child. She says, yes, I know who you are. If you were happy, you wouldn't be here. But actually, she's right. I was there because I was unhappy. I says, look, I don't want to cause any trouble. I don't want to be part of your family. I just want to see him because Tony's, Pamela's gone now, and I just want to say, hello, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? He doesn't want to see you. I went, I've literally just turned up. She says, no, you need to go. You're here to destroy the family. I went, I am not. She says, you see that girl? She says, all those cars out there are all hers. She's got 5 cars. I'm like, okay. She says, and my son, he's upstairs, he's a pilot. He flies all around the world. And my other son, he's married to a solicitor, the best lawyer in the country. I'm thinking, why you think I've come for money? I says, I absolutely have not. Couldn't be farthest from the truth. I do not want anything. I just want to see him. She was vile. She just kept trying to push, you need to go. Like I'm something she's trod on, trying to push me under the carpet like I don't exist. I'm the dirty secret.
And she knew who you was when she asked you to come in.
I'm like, I'm 50 odd years old. You don't get to make me feel like this.
This was recent?
Yeah, just over 3 years ago. So I thought I need to try and stay in that house because I want to see him and I want to know what he was like. Has he got good? Because you know when you're filling in forms, what's your medical history? I don't know any of those things.
Yeah.
I just wanted something. 2 hours I lasted in there. And she just wearing me down. You know, when you're so angry that you're either going to punch somebody's face in or you're just going to scream and cry at the top of you.
Yeah.
And I just felt I don't give her that gratitude to see that. So in the end, I said, look, I'm going to go. She said, just leave me your number. I thought, you're not going to give me my number.
No.
But I wrote it down and I went, sat in the car, and before I left, this is not like me and this is not what I tell people to do at all. So don't take this as advice. But you know when you feel you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I felt I need to start a conversation in this house because I was trying to put across to her, I'm not here to cause any trouble. So as I was leaving, I saw that young girl, Alicia, her name was, sitting in the laptop by the living room in the lounge. As I went putting my shoes on to leave, I was so angry. And I just turned around to her and I said, and again, I don't advocate this. I said, okay, so if you can give him my telephone number, because at the end of the day, you are my stepmother. And I go running out the house. So, you know, you see those films where they're running out the building, it blows up behind them.
Yeah.
That's what I visualise. And I'm running up the cul-de-sac, jump in the car, and I say to Adrian, just drive. Well, how did it go? Just drive. Drove to Morrison's, and I just broke down and I told him what had happened. And he said, that's awful. So I got a card.
I bet he felt like going back, didn't he?
And that's what I did. I got a card, wrote my details down, and I was going to leave it outside the house. But I was going to leave it outside because I didn't trust putting it through the letterbox. She was going to give it to him. But if I leave it somewhere that he'll see on the way in, then I have more chance of that. But as we pulled back at the cul-de-sac, there was some more cars on the drive, and I thought, oh God, it's kicking off in there. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Yeah. And one of the cars came out of the cul-de-sac, and it was a lad, which I now know as the older brother, my older brother, with the 2 kids that was running around the house, the grandkids. So I jumped out to stop the car. I said, "Is Jazz want back yet?" He went, no, but I don't think he's going to be long. I said, "All right, then I'll wait." Again, he didn't ask who I was.
Yeah.
Sat back in the car. So another car pull out, and it had the mother and the pilot's son in. They didn't see me. They drove off. So I'm like, that leaves that young girl in there on her own. And she was lovely. She was like 26. She was lovely. So I knocked on the door and she answered. And I said, "Look, I'm really sorry, but I've brought my details down in here. Would you mind giving them to your dad?" She went, yeah, that's fine. That's no problem. And again, I don't advocate this. And I just said to her, I said, did your mum tell you who I was? She went, no, not really. She just knew Dad, but I think you kind of look like my auntie. I said, no, I'm not your auntie. And I said, my throat was all dry. God, it was awful. My heart was beating. I am really sorry, but your dad is my dad. Nothing. She just very calmly said, if that's true, you've dodged a bullet. And of all the things I thought she was going to say, that was not one of them. And I said, what do you mean? She said, he's a horrible, nasty man. And I just broke down then because my mum wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
My father's not very nice. And they make me. And, I don't like to think that I'm not very nice. And I got all the wedding pictures up and the divorce papers. And I showed her. And she went, oh, my God, it's true. And again, I thought, who lies about that? She says, this is gold dust. She says, do you want to come in? I went, yes, please. I said, have you got any photographs of him or anything? She says, yeah. So I went in. And on the divorce papers, it says, Tony wants to divorce Pamela because she wouldn't have his tea ready when he come home from work. And this is and this. She says, that's exactly what he's like. He'll come in from work, sit down, tap the table twice. My mum has to go in the kitchen, get his tea and put it in front of him. And she says, he's a horrible man. He will wait until the house is full of family and friends and he'll shout across the room to her and say, nobody will want to marry you because you're too fat. And she's got size 12 at the very most. She says, and he's such a narcissist. When he goes to India to visit relatives, he'll phone all the family in India to meet him at the airport. So when he comes out the airport, they greet him like a celebrity. And he's the person that all the community come to for money or advice because he's on such a pedestal. And if they were to know he's got this like dirty secrets of a family, he says it would completely ruin everything. I said, well, look, I'm not here for any of that. I just want to
give you fuel. Yeah.
She says, do you want to wait for me? I went, yes, please. So I went in the dining room, which is dead opposite the front door. Anyway, this is now coming to midnight. And then the mother come back. So she comes through the door. I'm sitting there, and the first thing she sees, I bet she thought, I just thought I got rid of her, and I must have looked so smug sitting there thinking, thought you got rid of me. She went straight in the kitchen. Alicia had to go in there, and all I could hear, they were talking in Indian. I got no idea what they were saying, but it didn't sound good. She comes in and she goes, what do you want? Why are you here? And I'm like, look, I don't want to cause it. And I was repeating myself. And Alicia was like, look, Mum, you've got to understand from her point of view. It's her father. She wants to see him. No, she needs to go. It was just horrendous. Anyway, it was getting on. I was trying to stay there as long as possible. It was getting on to like 1:30 in the morning. Adrian's still in the car.
Yeah.
And in the end, again, I was just exhausted mentally and physically. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to go. I picked up my keys and my phone. And then there was a key in the door. And it was Tony. She jumps up, the mother jumps up and goes running out, shuts the door. They go in the kitchen again, talking in Indian, no idea. He comes in and he's all smiles and he's like, hello. And I'm like, hello, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? He sits down. Alicia's like, let's just leave him to talk. And the mother was like, angry. And he was lovely. I said, the first thing he said to me was, how's Linda? I went, do you mean Pamela? Linda was the woman he was having an affair with, who he's also got a child from that he knows nothing about. But I wasn't there for that. That's not for me to tell him. And I said she'd just passed. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. And he was started asking me about myself. What do you do? Write your number down. I said, I've got radio shows and blah, 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 blah. And he went, oh, write it all down. Tell me who all the pictures are and stuff. And I thought, somebody's lying here because you're actually lovely. You're either acting or Alicia was telling lies.
Alicia was definitely telling the truth, yeah.
Yeah. I thought there was only one way to find out. So I said, at this point he asked me if Adrian wanted to come in. And I said, yeah, because my head was so mangled, I needed him there.
Bit of backup as well, ain't it?
Yeah, and to be able to listen to what was being said because my head was just cotton wool. And I said, so have you thought about me over the years? And he went, not really. I'm like, oh, okay, I was prepared this time. And I don't know if I admired him a little bit because he could have lied, he could have pacified me, Nathan. I said, yeah, I've thought about you often. But he
was honest.
Yeah, he said, no. I said, all right, then, well, I'll go. I said, do you want to keep in touch? He said, yeah. We took a couple of pictures. And that was it. I left. I think we got home about 5 o'clock in the morning. And then next morning, Adrian was off work and he said, look, I'll take you out for the day because, we had a big day yesterday. I was just exhausted. Then 11 o'clock in the morning, Tony's ringing me on my phone and I'm like, he's ringing me. What does he want? He went, I don't know, answer it. I'm going, I can't answer it. What does it? By the time you've done all of that, they rung off and I'm like, what did he want? Rung him back. And he says, oh, hello, I just wanted to check you got back all right. I went, yeah, I did, thank you. He says, where are you? I thought, that's why you rung, you checking I'm not round the corner again, about to knock on the door. Something important underwater. Do you want to stay in touch? He says, yeah, will you send me the pictures we took? I said, yeah. Never seen him since. His daughter, Alicia, had kept in touch on and off over the past couple of years, but there's been nothing. And that's fine. I just wanted to give him the opportunity. But then I realised I've never been married. I've got no kids. I've got nothing to say I ever existed on this earth. And I'm too vain for that. So over the years, with various things that have happened, probably like you, people say, you need to write a book, but you don't, do you? And I've got my radio show, as you know, and I interviewed
somebody shout it out
on there. It's WCR FM.
Yeah.
My radio show on a Sunday is Women in the City. It's all about women in the city.
Yeah.
And I've got another one, which is live music on a Monday night. But I interviewed somebody on the Women in the City show, and she was a ghostwriter. And she says, I help people write the books. And she says, just come. I says, no, because I need somebody that can write it for me. I haven't got time to sit writing books.
Yeah.
She says, well, I'll help you. Went to Leicester to meet her. About 5 bottles of Prosecco later, I managed to tell her the truth because I'd never told anybody all this stuff. I was still, until 4 years ago, I was still living as a Sicilian. Told her, and she says, I'll do it for you. I thought, I bet you will for 35 grand she wanted.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, if I'm going to do it, it's got to be authentic. I need to do it myself.
Mm-hmm. But
it needs to be authentic, which means I've got to come out to people I've known for 20 years. So I've got to tell them what my real identity is. Because a lot of people over the years have said, can't work you out, Susan, and blah, 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 blah. So, cut a long story short, I wrote my first book in 11 days.
It's called In 11 Days?
No, I wrote it in 11 days. What do you think I called it?
Yeah, read it to me because I can't see.
Oh, yes.
Remember I'm blind.
I'm not a P word.
No way. That's really controversial.
And I did a lot of research before I called it that.
It's really cool that you've said that.
Because that was all I kept saying. I'm not a P word. That's all I knew to say. But that word's not very marketable. So I had to do a double A-side record cover, kind of. And it's also called Traced. Because I traced my biological family.
And is that...
And in the middle of the word traced is the word race.
Oh, wow, that's really cool, Traced. And why is the colours different on race?
Because that's the Indian flag.
Oh, wow.
Because I traced my biological family. So that was my first book. It's got pictures in there and everything. And then...
Was that for me?
I did... No, I'm just showing it.
Oh, I was thinking, wow, I've got a free copy. This is awesome.
And then I did a whole launch in the library in town with the mayor of Wolverhampton and a couple of MPs. And then somebody said to me, well, if you have somebody in your house that has been fostered or adopted, you kind of expect them to burn your house down.
Well, I bet you was enraged by that one, yeah?
I said, do you realise that kids that have been put in care are there through no fault of their own? I was 3 months old when I was put into care. What could I possibly have done? And so I thought, right, I need to write about how it feels to be adopted. Because nobody, social services or nobody ever asked me how I felt. Decisions are made about you without you. You're just a file in a boardroom with social. What have we got any bedrooms that Susan can have? We've got a 2-year-old girl that needs. A lot of them have never met you. So I asked for my records again from when I was in the children's home, and it took 1 year and 3 weeks to get those records, despite letters from MPs, from the mayor. And when I got them, they were all wrong. For example, it said, you had a sister called Tilly. I had a brother called Terry. But I would have gone looking for a sister called Tilly, who doesn't exist. Yeah. You were classed as legitimate because your parents were married. Next paragraph, same page. You were classed as illegitimate because your parents didn't get married till a year after you were born. Really awful. So I wrote another book about how it feels to be adopted.
You've written 2 books. And what's this one say?
Love, Susan. So I did the launch for that book, and everybody started coming to me with their stories. A lot of people who are adopted or care experience don't tell people because of the stigma. A lot of people think people that are fostered or adopted, they're like Oliver Twist. And so I knew I had to do something else. I had to be a buffer between the real person and the services. So I set up a foundation, and some people don't know how it feels to be adopted because they're not. Some people don't understand words if they've not got the experience. So I show them that, because that's how it feels.
And what is this?
To be adopted. That's a statue that's in Geneva, and it's a person with a huge hole inside the body, because you live with that void inside you that should have been your biological parents, and it's not. So now we support care experience people, fostered, adopted kinships. We give them therapy. We help them come to terms with who they are and help them find a biological family if they want to. We deliver training courses. I give talks to Adoption at Heart and Fostering for Wolves. Both of these books are in the NHS Reference Library and in Cambridge and Oxford universities. We've been commended in Parliament now. There's a lot. And that's who I am.
I feel like we've got another episode in us, mate. Thank you very much, Susan, for listening. And guys, if anyone's triggered by anything that they've heard, please reach out for support and don't quit. Susan is here. If you feel like that you want to reach out to Susan, we'll post her details in the comments. So anyone who wants to get in touch, I'm sure she won't mind. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, and keep going beyond barriers.